Can Binance ever be dethroned? The answer may surprise you. So, Binance is the current world's leading exchange for altcoins. So, we have a little bit of a trifecta here. If you want to trade on Bitcoin and derivatives, you have BitMEX. You want to trade altcoins, you go on Binance. And if you want to be a true degen, you go on TradeOgre and whatever else. But Binance has really been one of the leaders in the market for, I would say, the past year or so. A year and a half even, I would say. I think around the beginning of 2018 is really when Binance started taking off. But I wanted to go over a little bit of the history of Binance, talk a little bit about what they have done in the past, and then talk about their current roadmap and what they're doing in the future. And then I want to go into a little bit of a discussion, a side discussion, or the meat of the discussion really is if Binance can actually be dethroned, if we can get a true competitor to Binance, if Binance can somehow fail, or if the ship really is too big to fail. So Binance started out as an ICO in July of 2017. They raised, I believe it was $15 million, and the price of the token was 10 cents per BNB during the ICO, and anyone could get in. You could just buy in with your Ethereum wallet, and yeah, you could get some BNB for pretty cheap back then. Obviously, people didn't know at the time if it would truly succeed or not. I did do an ICO review of Binance Coin at the time, back when I had my old website, Global Halo, and I did give it a passing review. Although I did give a lot of crappy projects passing reviews back then, I did certainly see some kind of potential in Binance. And although I personally didn't invest, I did keep a close eye on it. And so for me, it was really KuCoin and Binance at the time, which were the two newer exchanges which I saw. And I saw Binance really as being the possible leader. Obviously, it was led by Changpeng Zhao, CZ, who had lots of experience at OK Exchange. And so I thought that they had the team. I thought they had certainly the user interface, which was super important back then for a lot of users. Because the main leading exchanges at the time were Bittrex and Poloniex. There was a little bit of a tertiary competition with exchanges like Liqui, but they were ultimately weeded out. So we have seen, so since then they've had their ICO, and in 2017 they spent a lot of their time building and slowly getting market adoption and getting people onto their exchange. And ever since then, really since the beginning of 2018, we have seen the explosion of growth in Binance, and we have seen these exchanges who are at the time leading fall to the wayside. And so first we'll go with Bittrex. Bittrex, obviously, they had regulatory issues. Most people watching this video may not even know what Bittrex is. That's how bad Bittrex got deleted. But they basically had a plan that was trying to go for compliance. And the way that they were going to reach compliance was Bittrex obviously was known as the exchange that listed any coin, almost any coin, as long as it held up to basic due diligence. Bittrex would list your coin. So we had coins like Bitbean, we had coins like Music Coin, we had coins like, God, I think there was another music coin as well. I think there were two music coins. We had Parkbyte. We had all kinds of these super exotic and unique coins that were only found on Bittrex. Or at least Bittrex is one of the trusted places where you could find these coins, because Bittrex obviously has a little bit more luster and a little bit more prestige at the time than an exchange like Yobit. And if you go on Yobit's Twitter page, go on Yobit's Twitter page right now, you will see their header is still some naked lady, which is funny. But Bittrex, obviously, they went for compliance in 2018, and what they started doing was U.S. compliance. And for U.S. compliance, they started cutting out and delisting project after project after project. And so it became a little bit of a laughing stock and a running joke among the crypto community that Bittrex was going to delist themselves eventually. And they despite this, and Bittrex knew about this, they kept going with their strategy and delisting coins. I think if you hold any Bittrex specific coin right now, I don't know. First, I don't know if there are any Bittrex specific coins. I haven't gone there in so long. I think the only thing I hold there is Elastic. But if you go on Bittrex now and you hold a Bittrex only coin, you are super, super concerned about getting your coin delisted, because that's all Bittrex seems to do these days. They do maybe one or two listings every month or two, and then that's about it. And then they'll do 10 delistings for every listing. So it's a huge problem. So Bittrex, obviously, people knew they couldn't trust Bittrex with their coins. If things were going to get delisted, they couldn't do it. Secondly, they had huge issues with their UI. They had two big UI rehauls, and each time they rehauled their UI, it looked even worse than the last time. So again, Bittrex taking a huge L there. Sorry, Bittrex. So Bittrex fell to the wayside. Then we had Poloniex. Poloniex was the leader for some time. The competition was between Bittrex and Poloniex. And before everyone moved to Bittrex, they were on Poloniex. And Poloniex was really the place where the 2017 alt season started, where things really started heating up back in January of 2017. Poloniex was the leader, and they had about, I think they had somewhere around 20 to 30 altcoins. Not a huge selection, but certainly enough. And everything started pumping on Poloniex. And Poloniex, to their credit, they did as well as they could have, given their matching engine at the time. The engines on Bittrex and Poloniex in 2017 were seriously unprepared for the massive wave of people coming. I remember Poloniex had a little ticker at the bottom of current users. I think they still have it if you go on Poloniex. I remember going from when I started trading crypto in December of 2016, so this wasn't very long after or very long before. They had something like 5,000 concurrent users online, 10,000 concurrent users online, 20,000. Then I saw it go to 30,000, 40,000, 60,000. It was insane. And by the time it got to 60,000, these numbers were so high, and they were experiencing such load issues that they just couldn't handle it. And so everyone started moving over to Bittrex. Bittrex obviously had a lot more alts. They were listing a lot more things, and all of the liquidity went from Poloniex to Bittrex. And then obviously we've already gone over what happened with Bittrex. They started delisting everything. And so people were really looking, they were stranded, and they were looking for an exchange that was going to provide them with the ease of use and interface that Poloniex had with the wide and diverse alt selection that Bittrex had. And here comes Binance. Binance plays into both of these things. They had a very simple UI. They had two UIs. They had one called Simple and one called Pro. And they still have Simple and Pro. And if you want to trade and you don't know too much about trading, or you don't want to be the cool, edgy trader, you go with a simple UI. And if you want to be a pro, you go with a pro. Mileage may vary. Maybe you get 10% more gains on pro. I don't know. I don't really trade on pro. I just go on simple and just market dump or market buy like a true Chad. So the field was fresh, obviously, for a new competitor. Binance stepped in. Since then, we have seen Binance Coin grow about 350 times in value as of today, or 300 times. BNB, obviously, you could buy them for 10 cents during ICO. Today, they're worth $30. So whoever bought into BNB and held, well done. So what else have they done since? They obviously had the great growth of their coin. Now their coin is, I believe, $2.4 billion market cap. Since then, they have done massive amounts of listings. I'm not sure how many coins exist on Binance today, but I would say probably in the range between 50 and 100, maybe even more. So lots of altcoins, lots of pairs, lots of stable coins. I believe there's 4 different stable coins on Binance compared to 1 or 2 on Poloniex. You can get USDC, USD Circle, True USD, USD Tether. You can get PAX on Binance. I'm not sure if there's any more stable coins. I think those are the main stable coin pairs on Binance, but it has the most stable coin pairs out of any other exchange, which provides obviously great arbitrage opportunities for people willing to trade those stable coins. They have innovated the IEO process. So we initially had ICOs, which was initial coin offerings, which were like IPOs, but they kind of had their own problems. So Binance said, here's a way we can regulate almost the listing process, the listing of new coins and new ICOs, and we'll do what's called an IEO, an initial exchange offering. So it's functions similar to an ICO. And Bittrex really had the first version of this when they had their Apex IEO back before it was called an IEO. But Binance kind of innovated it again, and they did it in a different way. And people really liked to this idea, and they took to it. And IEOs got very successful with Binance. They added margin trading, so now you can margin trade whatever alts they have enabled. So they're starting to roll that out now. And they started, I believe they started about a month ago or 2 months ago with the margin trading with only to BNB holders, and now everyone can margin trade. You can margin trade BNB if you want. You can go. I don't know what the limits on margin trading are, but I believe they're pretty low right now. I think it's 3 or 4x margin maximum. Certainly, Certainly great, though. Again, one of the only exchanges that can do this, that you can actually margin trade. They have enough liquidity that you can margin trade altcoins. They've localized their exchange all over the world. There's Binance Italy, there's Binance Greece, there's Binance Japan, there's Binance Jersey, there's Binance everything, which is, Binance Jersey, actually. Another, Binance Jersey is the fiat arm of Binance, so you can trade with fiat, actual fiat there. You can trade. So very similar to Bitfinex. So they've also released the Binance Decks. So the Binance Decks is something that came out about 2 months ago. And on the Binance Decks, again, we've seen another innovative process with the IDO, the initial Decks offering. We've seen a number of projects start to do this IDO process and be very successful with that. And so the Binance Decks obviously presents a way for individuals to trade using the Binance brand and get that Binance not the regulatory, but get that Binance seal of approval from the validators of the Binance nodes, the Binance Decks nodes. So you get the seal of approval of Binance without having to necessarily trust a centralized entity, that being Binance. So they've done quite a lot of things. It's a super illustrious history compared to what other exchanges have offered. And that is really one of the great things about Binance is you look at all these other exchanges, you look at KuCoin, you look at Huobi, you look at even the older ones, again, Poloniex, Bittrex, and they haven't really been able to innovate nearly as quickly or as much as Binance has. And this is one of the great things about Binance is they have this everyone says CZ can execute. And what execution really comes down to and what that really means when people say execute, that means he does things really quickly. That's all it means. So Binance, they do things really quickly. They will have quick meetings. They're not going to spend 4 hours with you in a call. They're gonna get what they need. They're gonna get started, and they're gonna iterate extremely quickly. And so that is their execution ability. So it's great. So now we're in 2019. We're halfway through, and we're wondering. Now that Binance is number one, now that it's the leader, can Binance truly ever be dethroned? Can it? I personally think probably not is my answer, but I do want to highlight. I don't want to waste the time of people watching this video. I do actually want to highlight there are actually some cases where Binance does get dethroned, so I want to go over them here. So the first one obviously is regulatory concerns. Binance recently moved away from the U.S. They geofenced all of the U.S. customers. And they did this in a pretty shocking move. They didn't really announce it much in advance. They just kind of did it. And US customers obviously felt marooned almost. And not harbored. They felt marooned away from Binance. They felt like, we provided you with all this liquidity. We've done so much for you as an exchange, and you're just going to leave us like that. And CZ was like, well, it's all part of the master plan, guys. Don't worry about it. But of course, people are going to worry about it. And so regulatory concerns. There's certainly the possibility that there are problems underneath the surface of Binance that we simply don't have access to, that we don't know about. And these kind of moves by CZ and by Binance certainly fuel the speculation behind what could be the motive behind these moves. Now, CZ himself has said that they have partnered with BAM to allow to create a Binance exchange for the U.S. that is compliant and regulated. So that could possibly be the saving grace of it for U.S. investors. Before that, again, U.S. investors could have used Binance. They had the ability to use Binance, but now they no longer can. So it's very difficult if you have an altcoin on Binance and you're a U.S. customer and they've now geofenced you. Where the hell are you going to sell your alt? There's not too many places anymore because Binance, they have done so well. They have crushed the competition so hard that there's not really that many other exchanges that can truly match them. There's Huobi. There is BitHum, but BitHum is pretty much only tailored towards Koreans. Huobi, again, that's another one where it's hit or miss. I've had some good experiences, some bad experiences with them. OK Exchange, good luck with that one. They've had some truly terrible customer service. So again, Binance has taken so much of the market share that I wouldn't say they're victims of their own success, but the entire crypto ecosystem almost is a victim of Binance's success, in the sense that if Binance truly does ever go away, it's going to cause a huge rift and a huge hole in the crypto ecosystem. So some other things that could dethrone Binance. There was the recent hack This hack happened, I think, 3 months ago for Binance, and they lost $40 million. And of course, nothing is unhackable, but despite that knowledge, obviously, every time you hear of a big hack, you get worried, especially when it comes to crypto, because hacks happen quite often, and usually these hacks are a hell of a lot more than just $40 million. We've seen some insane hacks. And so Binance, of course, obviously, once that hack happened, Binance lost a hell of a lot of reputation for it. And so people always wonder, when it comes to exchanges, people still, years later, even newcomers to the newcoming entrants to the space still have these almost PTSD-like emotions toward exchanges, and they think, could another Mt. Gox event happen? Could something like that, to that grand scale of tragedy, really happen again? And it could. That's the sad part about it. And so Binance, because they're the leading exchange, they are the leading target for this kind of thing. And so you have to be very careful if you're in Binance's shoes and sees these shoes of exactly this kind of thing. So certainly this is more of a black swan event. I don't think it's too likely. But again, the recent hack shows that nothing is unhackable, and neither is Binance. So I think on a technical level, I think Binance certainly is the best right now with their DEX and all the other advantages that they have. But I would say Poloniex probably. They've certainly been heads down for quite a while since their acquisition by Circle, and they do have a very good engine now. Their UI is I would say arguably the greatest trading UI. Obviously, not many people have too much experience with Poloniex, so they can't really back me up on this because Poloniex is an older exchange. But I do like the UI of Poloniex. I think it certainly lends itself well. And if Poloniex, I think if they started listing more coins and getting more marketing, they could probably take a little bit of that market share away. They could certainly get the number 2 spot, I think, from Binance, because right now there really is no number 2. There's Binance, and then there's nothing below it in terms of the rankings of best exchanges. It's really just Binance at number 1 and no one else is competing. It's kind of weird, actually. So really, again, Binance has been truly successful in that sense. So again, technically speaking, I think Poloniex could certainly compete in the future. All that Poloniex would really need to do was start listing alts, choice alts, and then the liquidity would slowly start coming into Poloniex, and people would rediscover Poloniex and rediscover the great UI and the troll box and all of these great things. So certainly, it's more of a long shot. I do eventually see Poloniex actually coming back. I think Poloniex has the best chance of coming back, and I think it certainly can and does deserve that second place spot in terms of greatest exchanges. And it really is kind of sad to see where Poloniex has gotten, but maybe it's rose-tinted goggles, but I do certainly see an opportunity at the very least for Poloniex to come in second place. And again, second place, you're always jockeying for first position in the event that something does happen to the first place holder. So another way, I think from an alt selection standpoint, certainly other exchanges do have the opportunity to surge ahead. Right now, we're seeing not too many alts because we're in a bearish season, obviously, so no one really wants to list much of anything. Most projects are choosing to do IEOs on Huobi. They've been pretty successful on Huobi and Binance. Those are the two main exchanges that are conducting IEOs. Obviously, Bittrex is doing it, but again, they've delisted themselves out of the competition. So I think from an alt selection standpoint, if we were to get a bull run to come back, it's certainly possible that if there's an exchange that started listing a lot of different alts that came along with that bull run and started bringing that hype, they certainly could take a lot of market share away from Binance just by capitalizing on the hype of the new coins, of the new IEOs, of the new ICOs, of the new listed altcoins. So there is another opportunity for a competitor to truly surge ahead. So again, we have other exchanges. We have Beaxy now, we have FTX, we have BitMax, we have a lot of different exchanges, but I don't really consider those true competitors until we see some kind of catalyst that truly brings them to actually be able to compete with Binance on some level, whether it's through liquidity or through alt selection or even on a technical level. I think the greatest, newest exchange we've really had is Deribit, and Deribit does not directly compete with Binance. They directly compete with BitMEX. So therein lies Binance's. Again, they've been quite lucky, I would say. So there it is. So overall, I would say Binance is solidly in the lead. Again, they're in first place. There really is no second place yet. And I don't see other exchanges nearly having the same dominance or the executional ability that CZ has. And so for this reason, I think Binance, for now, certainly is going to be top dog for, I would say, possibly the next 6 months or so. Things that could change it. A bull run, alts being listed on other exchanges, some kind of black swan event, including regulatory concerns, or a hack. So again, these are black swan events, but these are events that have happened before. And well, history doesn't repeat, but it sure as hell does rhyme. So let me know what you guys thought of this video. This was a little bit of a longer one, but I think Binance deserves it. Leave a like if you liked it, subscribe to the channel for more, and I will see you guys next time.